Right.
I just clicked the live button, but it's going to take a little bit. It's going to take a little time.
Okay.
Yeah, every single morning is literally like stepping into a new world. Nothing that I thought I knew for sure yesterday applies today.
I just saw you posted that. I love that. Like a very similar conversation I was having this morning. It's just to be blank,
Mm-hmm.
and to be alive, to be available for
Yeah,
the not knowing.
yeah,
And it's spectacular.
yeah. Alive and present, not caught up in all that. Right. We'll
Yeah.
be right back with the beautiful, beloved Helen Quail from Shasta. Be right back. What's happening, everybody? We got Helen Quell in the house. Just a couple of quick announcements. One, we're getting seriously suppressed. I don't know what's going on, but if you could share it to a group or to your page, that'd be great. Helen, what's happening? What's going on in Shasta? I said to you before everybody got in here, you look fantastic. What are you doing? And you said, what? You said something funny. Then you said, you look good. And I'm like, well, my response energetically is the same as yours.
Yeah, like what's not going on, right? Yeah, I know it surprises me when people say that, because we're just disintegrating and reforming. You know, like I met a soul sister the other week and we hugged and she's like, "How are you?" I'm like, reformulating. You know, just moment to moment. Yeah, I mean, gosh. Well, I mean, you feel so much more solid to me. You feel like just like
Well, I can, I actually feel pretty good this morning. I've had about, I think it's 7 or 8 days of purging, downloading, that disintegration that you're talking about and everything that everybody's going through. But I woke up this morning and, there's more power coming in each day. I think this is happening for all of us. And all I can say about that is thank you. I feel pretty good, but it could be different in an hour or two.
Yeah. And yeah, we were just talking about that. Like a day feels like years.
Mm-hmm.
Like yesterday. Like just so much happens in one day, and
Yeah.
that's the piece about the aliveness being available for it. Right? Is the openness. Personally, maybe it's what you feel. I don't know. Is I am being opened more than I ever have been. And I've been opened for like decades, again and again, like many of us. But it's like it's just more and more. And for me, there's been a huge theme about in the last couple of weeks about entirely new kind of formulations, grounding and anchoring. We use the words grounding and anchoring and all of that. It's none of that. Like the light that's coming in, as we know, is so unprecedented, so strong, so potent, so wide ranging. Our invitation is to be able to accommodate it, to be
Mm-hmm.
able to take it through these body vessels. And what's coming through for me, just literally very in the last couple of days as well, is whole new templates and whole new structures, whole new scaffolding energetically to allow us 11 to allow us to stay in body.
Yeah.
I had an experience, like I almost left a couple of weeks ago, literally. I almost left my body.
Wow.
I wasn't
What
ill.
happened?
It was like nothing I've ever known before. What happened was that a very close soul brother did leave his body, and we're super connected. And I heard that news and went into a process, and it was just as I came back into Shasta. So I went to a friend's house, went into a process, but then I started to actually feel him dying. Then I actually could feel my life force being pulled out of my body. Like, and
Wow.
it's entirely different than like leaving your body. It was being pulled up and out. And man, I'll tell you, like that's a whole other thing. That
Now,
was,
did he physically transition?
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So I know I shared a little bit about this afterwards, and what blew me away was a bunch of people commenting that they had been through their version of something. You know, we talk about dying, but this was like, I'm actually going to leave my body. I'm
Mm.
leaving my body, and I had to use everything I have to stay to come back to stay in body, and I needed this other amazing being with me. I needed another conscious being in a body to support me to stay, and it took hours. And then
Wow.
I went to another person, and we just completely intuitively, because like none of us had been here before, just went with all of these pieces that we felt guided to keep coming back in and to stabilize. And that changed things for me. You know, that I was really being shown like the urgency of how we support these bodies, you know, if we choose to stay, to stay. And that was another piece with a sister that supported me. She said to me, as I was still in it, she's like, what do you choose?
Mm.
That I got to make the choice, and I had
Mm.
to choose, or I chose this body, this timeline, this life now, and I claimed it with everything that I have. And that's what it took in order to be able to stay and this whole process. And it literally took other bodies. So for me, like the understanding of both our sovereignty and our interdependence just catapulted to a whole other level,
Wow.
because I would not have, I knew that I couldn't do it on my own. I literally couldn't do it on my own. My knowing is that I wouldn't have been able to stay. And that's been reflected by others.
Your knowing was you knew you wouldn't be able to stay. What do you
On
mean?
my own, if I didn't
On
have
your okay, okay.
somebody else there
Yeah,
to
yeah.
to assist.
There's some juicy stuff in here, and this is real time intel. I mean, I know people are going through stuff like this. You know, at an energetic level, even though on the surface it may look different. But yeah, let's jump into this a little bit. So I just want to understand it a little bit more, because me or somebody listening or watching might go through this very soon. You know what I mean? Or
Mhm.
something similar. So you start to feel the transition of your beloved brother, and in that experience you feel like in the cord area, you know, like a pool, right?
Yeah,
And
and
you
it was literally, the movement was like this, forward and up, and it was being pulled.
okay. And
And
so okay. And so you're conscious when this is happening. You've got a friend or friends around you. It takes several hours. What was that like, being in your body, seeing through your two eyes? And then was it just the feeling of that energy was out of your vessel? Or were you actually having some consciousness in that part of you that was out of the vessel?
No, like, yeah, that's a really good question. It was so clear. I could not follow it. Like I had to absolutely stay in this body or I wouldn't get back.
Okay.
And with my brother that passed, what I came to understand in the process was I had to detach not from my love, our love, but from any attachment to him being in a body
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
in order for me to stay. So it was more like somebody said, oh, there was a circuit between you. Yeah, I mean, we were super connected, but it was more than that.
Yeah.
And without, you know, I was very conscious of not letting my mind do anything with it because how could it, right? And I'm still aware of that. I don't know the truth of his passing. I don't know if it was something similar. It was the day before. I don't know if he was on his own and wasn't able to stay. I don't know if he was meant to go. It was very, very sudden.
Okay.
And none of us can ever really know.
True.
But I know that for me to stay, my consciousness had to, I had to work with everything that I have to stay right here. I knew like it wasn't voluntary. It
Hmm.
wasn't, I'm not, I'm not, it was what it was. Um, I think, many of us are agreeing to go. And sometimes that energy is being directed at those that haven't agreed to go. And that was my sense. That
Yeah.
was my
Yeah. So
sense.
sometimes that energy's, yeah. Yeah. Because, if I listen to what you're saying, especially when you said you had to go through all your different levels to deal with it, right? You had to address every aspect that you're conscious of, or, a good number of them. And I think about that energetically. And then I think about the occurrence that you're describing. And to me, it's another way when you get right down to it that an individual is shedding, right? Shedding belief systems, shedding attachments. And I can say that in this last 2 or 3 weeks, which I know because we talked about it beforehand, people have been talking about it on this show. um, I didn't have the same circumstances, but energetically I have. And when you said that about I had to go to all my different levels, that really, really resonated with me. And I know other people are going through this. I said this yesterday. I think we're halfway through something. And I'm not just basing that on what Franco says or Jason Estes says or who was it the other day, Yvonnya. They all have great intel. But to me, as I go through this and I'm watching other people as well, the one thing that I'm seeing is there is a bunch of streams going. There's still the ego here and the mind here and the body's getting louder and all that, right? And it's just like uh, the the level of sensitivity and feeling is very strong,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel it's like we're in the middle of it. Like we still got 2, 3, 4 weeks. A lot of people have been talking about end of May.
Yeah, that resonates. That idea of halfway through resonates. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't ascribe to like universal timelines and like forecasts and things. We've all got our unique paths and our unique orientation, and there are themes and there are waves. Um, and this piece about there's so many deaths going on, but there's a piece about like literally dropping the body. And I think sometimes, like almost accidentally, the light is so strong and it can be so blissful that I've experienced this a couple of times again in the last couple of weeks since then. It's like I can't go fully, like, or I'm gonna go, I'm gonna just, it's, and I think that may be happening for some. Like they're just so blissed out in pure source light,
Yeah,
and that they drop their body. So it's like for me, it feels like we have to be even more conscious
yeah.
if if we're choosing to stay. If we're choosing to go, that's fine. If it's our time and we're complete, I'm just getting started. I'm going nowhere. I
Well,
really like anchor that in.
please, I want you to please continue. I have to bring these up because they're in synchronicity. Last night I was watching some videos, just researching and stuff, and I watched a little bit of Alex Collier. I watched the first interview that Barbara Marciniak has done in over a decade, and in maybe one or two more pieces of something else. And I can't remember who was talking about it. I think it was either Alex Collier or Barbara Marciniak. So they were talking about the transition, whoever it was, and they were talking about that we are taking our body with us. Okay, so now I listen to you, and I'm wondering if what you're, because a lot of this stuff isn't like, oh, you flip a switch, okay, now I'm over here. It's more like we like our frequency, our higher frequency comes into our consciousness in a physicality as well. It's like, you know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is, I wonder if what you're experiencing is a point we might come to where we actually take the physical body with us, right? Because the thing is when you say, like with your beloved brother, when you say some people will choose to go, I really feel like that's a big deal, because the physical body has to get to a certain point. It seems very obvious. There's a lot of purging going on. There's a lot of detoxing. People are detoxing, and I think naturally detoxing. So I think that's a really good point. Does it come down to, we always think, well, we're going to bring this stuff down into ourselves, but is the trick, is the biggest miracle going to be getting into a state of consciousness where we know, as we become familiar with it, like if we have experiences like you're having, and we touch it and we come back, and we touch it and come back and stay a little longer, are we going to get down to a point where we're going to exercise the potential of our magic to actually take our physical body to this dream state type of consciousness that's fifth dimension or higher? I mean, what a incredible miracle that would be from where we stand today.
Yeah, maybe. I'm moved to share this dream that I had this morning. It wasn't a dream, like it was just really like epic mythical vision, and I only remember bits of it, but it feels relevant. There was a mountain that was Shasta but not Shasta. It looked different. It was a different form, and it was in a different dimension and realm, and it was wreathed in like mist and cloud. And I was with a lot of people, and I went to just glance out, and I saw it, and then I saw this huge like jumbo jet really low down, just going into like the mist. And so it was obvious it was just gonna crash with everybody on it. And then there was like no fear, no panic. And I knew that my role was to use my voice as loud as I could to say to everybody here, hold the light, hold the light. And like some were just oblivious. And it was like, this is our role as a collective, is to hold the light for the many that are just going to go through into a different dimension, go through into a different realm. So I'm not going to unpick it all, but it just feels relevant to what we're saying. And part of Skandar's passing was already clear that he is rewriting my understanding and some of our soul family's understanding about death. Like literally, his body did drop, but I don't have words for it. But my experience of his being and others' experience of his being, it's not just like we can contact. It's entirely different. Natasha, I think Natasha. Like she wrote a beautiful piece about how palpable his cells were, like visually vibrating, like in the atmosphere around her, and a bunch of us were feeling that. And it just speaks to this piece about about the rule books, about rewriting the rules, about respecting what we've come from and the traditions, but we are rewriting the rules. And I feel that we can also be rewriting the rules around death, or what we understand by death and transition. And these bodies are doing things that they haven't done perhaps ever, or certainly haven't done for millennia. So
I agree with that.
yeah, and it's so tangible, right? It's like just tangible, like the changes that are happening through our systems all the time, all continuously, all the time, at all levels. So who can know? You know, we get to choose.
That's right.
We
And I
are.
think the big choice, I love what you just said, what he's doing, and that, you know, energetically, metaphorically, and literally, this is what we're doing. I think this is what we're actually doing. Is there were pre-existing templates. We've gone through an experience, a unique experience, by many people's channelings, downloads, and knowings. This has been, this Earth School is, it's for the it's for the fearless and the stupid and everything in between. But I think what we're doing is we're creating the templates. If we're going to make our decisions and choices based on the illusionary restrictions and constrictions and parameters of what we're transforming, we're going to find out real quick. If we're making decisions as we release and shed belief systems and step into this reality that we've had a relationship with in a, let's say, a non-physical manner, then things are going to start to happen. I think they've already started happening. I think one of the things that's happening, you just described in your own journey, and that is, and I keep seeing it like a screen, like you're watching a TV show, right? On a TV, and all of a sudden another channel starts to come in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it just, and I see that, and what you described is what I was going to ask you about 2 minutes before, was, don't you feel like in the last 3 weeks or so, it's like the other dimension frequencies, or at least one or two, I can't even really explain it, are coming in to the physicality, or we're coming into the, or something.
Yeah, like the words that come as you're speaking, Todd, are dimensional bleeds. I've had this experience.
Yes.
I did a really powerful medicine ceremony, like, well, a month ago, actually. So particularly since then, but it just feels like what's happening. It's like literally these moments of where the veils just get pulled apart, and it's like I can go right to complete clarity, to complete truth, or right through dimensions. It's like these access points can open up, maybe not for long, just literally for like a moment, and it's kind of like you got to reach through and grab them. And you know, there's been a bunch of things that have happened to me, and my higher self saying, like, you know, record it or write it or say it, or, you know, just while it's there, like literally while it's there, because we can't sustain it prolonged yet. But yeah, it's you know, as the sea level is rising of the vibrational field of humanity, there's literally more receptiveness and more available. We can access more because the vibration is rising, right? And then you've got many who've been at the forefront for a long time that are also jumping exponentially, continuing to jump up to other levels. So not only is there a generalized more availability for higher frequency, for some of us, it's like we can really go far and pull it in. And my role in my frequency has always been like very high and wide. I'll put it like that way. And my challenge and invitation is to bring it all the way down and in, and make that available in interaction with others. And together we can access these frequencies, and together we can continue to elevate what's available and bring it in. And not to get distracted, like you say, by, well, you know, multiple things, but not to get distracted by what's projected as reality. Exactly. And to stay attuned to what's true, to stay attuned to what we know to be true, what we recognize.
Yeah, and this is, in my opinion, this is the evolution and creation of new templates, because we have a set of dynamics here that Atlantis didn't have, Lemuria didn't have it. You know, I mean, I can't see that being and I don't have the recall a lot of people might have, but I've had a couple, and I don't see that from the story and from what I can feel as an environment that people were ascending in the body, regardless of their level of technology. We have so much experiential embodiment that's awakened in us, that's been in us like everything else, that we're utilizing, whether we're conscious or not of every part of it, to create these new templates. And they're made by the decisions, in my opinion, of the choices that we make, because we know it's all choices and there's no wrong choice. But when we align our will, our free will, with universal will in a collaborative, co-creative way, I think, this is going to come a lot quicker than I think anybody thinks. And I think it's going to be far beyond our present comprehension. But I think it's coming, and I think it's coming fast. And I think it's happening because we're doing a damn good job.
Absolutely. And thank you for saying that. I feel it as you're speaking to it. And yeah, it's embodied frequency. It's embodied. It's all the way embodied. And I've had that message from Spirit a bunch of times recently about, again, it's just like throwing away all the boxes again and again and again. And even from an awakened perspective, we still have limit. We still place limits on what we think is possible. Yeah, we got to be grounded. Right? It can be delusional, but also we are infinite. And as you say, as each one of us pops more, what is possible just blows open. And yeah, it's not linear. It's not like the people that are like popping is the way that I see it now, so fast and deep as well. It used to be sometimes people would have big awakenings and then they needed a bunch of time to really let it come in. Some still do, but I see ones that are like, it's just time. There's just a fertilization that's collective. This is the time that many of us have been waiting for, and people are popping into awakened consciousness, and it's coming right in through their system and their body, and they can hold it, and they're hitting the ground and ready to just come in at an extraordinary level. So yeah, I agree. We're creating new templates, and it can happen really, really fast. Everything else out there is giving us different stories about blah 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 blah. That's not reality.
See, and I've struggled with this. I was thinking about this yesterday. It's in line with what you're talking about. So I have this, we all have our objectives and passions and such. And one of the ones that I have is, how can I contribute to marrying to One Voice the Disclosure, Conspiracy, and Starseed platforms? And I keep an eye on a lot of different platforms just to study the nuances and feel the energy and get ideas or whatever. But I've noticed that there's not as much traction in those narratives. It's diminishing. You can see the energetics of it. It's becoming, it's taking on characteristics of a cottage industry of the times, versus real-time intel. And I'm not trying to compare. I think the purpose would be to fuse all three narratives, if that's what you want to call it, because there's questions in our narrative from people outside going, "What, you people think you have a memory of coming from Pleiades or Sirius or whatever." But what I'm trying to say is, I don't have. I'm not going to say I have a lot of gifts, but one gift I know I have, and I've always known I've had it since I started. This all started. Is to read the field in terms of what people are connecting with and what's resonating. And to me, it's this. It's whether you're alone with someone talking, whether you're talking to yourself in front of a mirror, whether you're in a group, it's this getting down to comparing notes and trying to get better. And understanding and realizing that you're not weird and crazy, and there's other people that are having these experiences and have been having them, that have had the same doubts, that have had the same struggles, that have had the same elevations, and then you have a period of time like the last 3 or 4 weeks, and everybody's coming down to the same even playing field, like it or not. You mentioned boxes. There's only one box, and it's an infinite box. If we're putting people in boxes or putting ourselves in boxes, at this point, I fully believe that the universe is going to be in our face, just like everything else. And one of the reasons I say that too is because in this period of the last 2-3 weeks, my physical body is purging itself as if I'm detoxing. And I'm sure I am to some degree because my diet's changed a little bit and some of my habits changed. But I feel like that is analogous, like as a metaphoric with, with what's happening.
Yeah, with the dialogues and the conversations. Yeah, I love your perspective. You've got such a unique vantage point to, like overview different conversations and feel into them. It's interesting. Just before we come on, I was just kind of feeling in, like, like I show up as a blank slate. That's my role. Whenever all my work is to show up in the moment with the co-creative field, and we feel what wants to come, and it takes us where it takes us. And I was feeling this place of like what's needed is not more opinions and more dialogue, but what's needed is silence and frequency, right? But what I want to reflect back to you is what I hear from you. It's like, it's where you're speaking from. Like, I'll often start my circles and I'll say, like, I just want us to just really, like, I feel called to just really sit in the frequency, and then I'll end up saying a whole bunch.
Right.
Comes from that place, right?
Right.
And I feel that in you and reflect that. So that's the important piece, is like just coming deeper into where we're communicating from, where we're reaching out from. And sure, we're all navigating unknown territory, and it's so precious to have resonant beings that we can dialogue with, whether it's like this or directly. I feel so blessed at some of the community here in Shasta that itself is completely changing. Everybody's going through all their stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, like, such an anchoring is always silence and quietness and just being. And that circles back to what we were saying at the beginning about being open and available for what is here. Not what we think.
That's right.
Not what we think, what's happening, but right here. And then it's always like, oh, in all kinds of ways. And I support us in that. I support us in reclaiming silence, because again, there's just all of these agendas to keep us and to find, and silence doesn't mean that we're literally silent. It's inner.
No, but let the energy speak. Let the energy speak.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of ways to communicate. A hug, a handshake, a compliment, an honest compliment. There's a lot of ways. We don't have to verbalize energy. It can enhance it, and it can probably, in this atmosphere, takes away from it. Like you're saying, you get ready to start something. I've been going over some things like in my head, like with Soulogy Fest, like, okay, this first part, how am I going to open it up? And that's one thing I don't want to do, or one thing that I'm not aligned with. I'm watching myself change, and I'm watching everybody else change. And some people are needing to speak more, and that's a lot of the feminine voice. And it's new territory. This is a new template. So there's an ebb and flow to it. There's maybe a little apprehension, and then there's, oh, wow, I just did it, and I want to do it again. There's this back and forth. And then I think with others, and mostly masculine, they're getting quieter. And so it's new territory. Nobody, I don't care who it is, nobody has, oh, here, go do this and you'll be fine. It's not like that. It's not like that. And this is the space I'm talking about. It's not about a story. It's not about sensationalism. It's not about who did this to us and who runs that. And it's not about that. It's about saying, hey, Helen, The energy, I call you up in 5 hours and say, that was a great show, but the energy just kicked my ass afterwards. And I'm triggered and I'm, flat on my back, and being able to talk to somebody and go, wow, okay. Or hold space for me, or I hold space for you.
Yeah.
And feel all that in. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay that I don't have the answers. It's okay that I don't know anything. It's okay. Right? I mean, literally, we're being stripped every single day, and every morning we're waking up to a new earth. And that new earth is occurring because of what we're doing. And I think a lot of what we've done over the last few years, and for some people 20, 30 years, I mean, that have been downloaded, is coming to fruition now.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. Yeah. It's presencing. What you're describing is presencing.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a contrived way,
Mm-mm.
in an authentic way, is being here for all of it. For, like the other week in my death process was like, it couldn't have been more messy. I'm yelling and snottering and shaking and, the whole deal, and completely unknown, like completely unknown and completely unknown for the beings that were with me. But oh my God, did they show up? I am so grateful. They just were like, boom, here, right? No idea what this is, but we're in it. We're in it together.
Oh, hell
We're
yeah.
in it together. We're all in it together. And the more that we can be brave enough to not know, to let go of attachment to the parts that want to know, or that think, wanting, and curiosity is beautiful,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
it's the attachment to, like, I've got the answers.
Yeah.
I've got a situation in my personal life. I won't go into the details because it would take too long, but it is significant. It's very significant.
Well, if it's really juicy, you can go into it.
It's really
I don't care. I'm kidding. I'm playing with you. Don't
I
talk
know
about
you
anything you don't want to. Yeah.
are. I know you are. But it's a situation where there's a lot of knowing, there's a lot of clarity about what it's about, but the reality is it's not changed at the practical level, and it's completely untenable. My point being, to be in that complete place of like just not just surrender, despair, like on my knees, like, I know that I can't fix this, right? And it's also not sustainable. It's not something I'm supposed to just suck up. There's a change that's needed to happen, and a very particular change. But it's, in all honesty, in the midst of the agony, I can be in touch, not always, but I can be in touch with the beauty of utterly not knowing, of utterly, like, this is something so much bigger that takes collective consciousness, that takes a number of beings to weave our pieces, both energetically and practically, to manifest the shift that's needed to happen. So I am grateful for that, very, very tangible, literally in my face on a daily basis, evidence of this. Because it's easy to say these things. It's easy to talk about not knowing and surrender and blah, 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 blah. But it's like when it's really in our face, when it's really like intense.
Yeah.
That's when we're stretched even more. That's when we get to grow even more.
Yeah.
And many of us are going through our own versions, of our initiations, whatever they look like.
Well, I think, with the dark nights of the soul that we all went through, that was massive. That was like cosmic boot camp, right? And then, of course, all the years that follow, and we still have these waves that, and look, it's all fading. You can see the expansion. You can see so many different things. It's like not one of them would prove it, but you line them all up together and it's obvious what's happening. We can now stop doubting ourselves, right? I mean, but it's interesting. Morgan's been, what do you call it? Crocheting, right? I think that's what you call it, crocheting. She doesn't call it that. She has a different accent with it. So you make a square, right? And then you make another one, identical. All of them, right? I mean, at least from our view. Obviously, they're all unique because they've got threads and all that, which is kind of cool as a metaphor. And my point is that that's what we've done. we've all been this square. We've all gained enough awareness to anchor that grid as if we're threading it to the earth, right? Let's just say that. Now, you can have them all, completed, but they're not connected. And I think that's a really big part. As I was watching her do it like 2 weeks ago, and I was saying, wow, okay, that's the collaboration. That's the co-creation. So how do I navigate if I'm getting all these energies coming at me? Do I put them over here and kind of like put up a wall, or do I engage them fully and fall prey to these new energies that don't allow me to answer every message because of the Soulogy Fest and Soul Speaks and Soulogy, right? In other words, not be attached to, oh, I got to do this and I got to do that. So there's somewhere in between. And that for me has been like, okay, I'm going to put these over here. Some have been there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 week, 3 days, and they're coming in every day. And I'm going to get to them when I can.
Yeah.
But I'm going to engage each one of them.
Yeah.
And to me, that at least keeps my border open so that we can start to weave with each other, right? Because we may not do anything together. We may not collaborate in the physical together. But if we have an interaction where the openness is there and the shadows are accepted, but put aside, so to speak. In other words, they don't impede the weaving, the co-weaving and co-creating, then that's what I'm going to do, because this is an energy game and it's time to walk the talk.
Nice.
And this goes back to your words. The more we, for me anyway, the more I talk, the more I F it up. So I'm learning every day, making progress, as we all are.
Yeah. Right in the way. Sovereignty and interdependence. That's one of the big things for me. And again, a lot of us been speaking about this for a while, but that's a beautiful analogy with the crochet squares. It's more and more like these are the times of sovereignty, right? But hand in hand with that sovereignty, with that alignment with our unique frequency of source, is our interdependence, sovereign interdependence, where we weave, where we soar squares together, where we dance, where we pause, and it's it's like the universe is full of paradoxes. It's full of light and dark.
It's all paradoxes.
Right. It's like more than ever sovereignty and more than ever unity. But unity that's founded in sovereignty and honoring our uniqueness. So it's interdependence, is language in that I feel it kind of embraces that. I'm wondering, Sarah, this feels, Todd, how would you feel, or how does it feel if I take us in a little process?
Absolutely, yeah. Let me just add one thing to that, because I love doing this, because that curiosity that you mentioned earlier for all of us, that's real. Yeah. And then what you said about, but not being attached to the information that you get in terms of like, wow, I'm smart or I'm something. But yeah, what you were saying, we're in the age of duality, right? Or this has been a duality. We can all agree on that. But the separation starts and stops with ourselves. And so that is the square on the blanket. And by force or flow, we will, and this is the type of vision I hold, because I know it's come into me because there's a whole bunch of people, that are both incarnated and not, let's just say that have created an energy complex that we might call the New Earth Grid or whatever it is. And so I know it's not a perfect world. It's the reality. And in that reality, I am co-creating and collaborating and harmonizing in balance and expansion of new templates, of new energies, of new remixes with each and every single soul. So, people talk about, hey, those people over there in that group aren't awake. Look, you don't need to worry about your family. You don't need to worry about your friends, because there's plenty of triggers right here in this community. So let's start with what's closest to us. And by the same token, on a larger scale, everyone on this earth, I believe in this moment that I can have and will, in this eternal moment, have a balanced, harmonious, collaborative, co-creative, expansive, aware experience.
Mm.
And I think these are the types of connections that we're making now. They're not way out there in the ethers anymore. Those were our guides. That's us. Those are the pieces inside of us that have guided us. And now these places that we can pull and connect and download and transmit from are right in front of our face.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So,
and
yes.
each other, you know, we just have these keys, we're activating each other. Yeah, I love that. You know, Sally Sharon and I have been doing the Wednesday healing since 2013, every single week. It's just a field of light codes that's available, you know, just completely accessible. You don't have to do anything, you don't have to sign up, it's not online. But what I often find in that, it's so held, and what I often find in that automatically we just contact every being, because every being is available at their own level, in their own pace, in their own timeline. And every being is part of that, not because we decide it, but they show that evidence comes forward, and I feel it and see it and know it. And we contact in that place at whatever each of us is available for and can receive and access. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, we thank you. And thank you for letting me put that last part out. And thank you for everything that you've shared with us so far. But yeah, we would love to have you take us through whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's to. I mean, I felt like I wanted to bring a piece through about the grounding and anchoring. I don't know if that's what wants to come, but something wants to come. So if you're open for it, I would love to.
Absolutely. Please. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So for everyone that's tuning in beyond time in this eternal moment, we are here as divine co-creators in this field. And I'm honored just simply to be here as a messenger to bring through what wants to come for us in this turning point of times. Let's just take a few deep breaths together. Let the mind quieten and give ourselves the gift of some space together, some space right here, fully here. Yeah, coming all the way in. Coming all the way in, letting all the other stuff go, letting the distractions go, and scrolling, the other pieces, dropping all the way in. And together, collectively, we are going to drop down a combined anchor of multiple golden threads, intertwining, sovereign yet interdependent, intertwining, that come through Gaia, through all of her centers, through her Earth star, through the solar system. And if it's right for you, and listen to your own guidance, we're going to drop down into the center of the void space. Okay, and whatever way you perceive or know this, it's in every one of us, the darkness, the beginning of the beginning, the creation point. We are anchoring in this formless birther of form. And we're going to breathe. Metoya chakala hayanama haya kura tayamaya to ichenaka neratadaka koyanataraka neatokaya. We're going to widen this out, just like we're saying, we're widening this out. It's just an innate process to embrace every being that can hear, feel, and receive the coding that is now available and possible for us to accommodate in these bodies and with our consciousness. We're opening to this. Me tora taka ahayina no marakiatia. Ne tora yemaku o inetaya. Netia na kara hayama o inete. Yama uhina taraya ayana taratiaka. There is no ceiling. I was shown this yesterday, a glass ceiling that we are breaking through. We are about to break through. There is no true ceiling. We are rooted and grounded in the formless form, in the beginning of the beginning, through all time and space and through these bodies. We are here in the timeless now, in infinite possibilities. And breathe. For we are consciousness in body, not limited to, but inhabiting. Me tora chika ahai na naraya, mo ukia, mo tia chena taraka a, nienate, na konia ma a ayata e, ne toraka a chema ukia naraya, uia tarayaka ache. Okay, with the next deeper breath, you have a sense of all the vessels of the body actually widening, expanding. The organs are changing. Just allow it. Allow divine infinite intelligence to choreograph the changes in the physicality. To allow the space, allow the change. We are not only supported, we are this. There is no separation. Infinite holding, infinite love, infinite presence, unlimited. Okay, a few more breaths. And then it's like we're just going to draw, but not a contraction, but a condensing into form of all that is possible in your higher awareness and intelligence in your being, into this body and through this body, not holding on, not static, embodying and staying free, open, fluid, present. Okay, we're just going to bring in some alignment through the whole system. Taria mo kugina ta e ma tuateanara a ia mo ku ta e nete. Nora ta achukama a ia anarata ia mo ku ia tareta cha ntea. Okay, and just take a moment. If there's anything else that you sense, you are your own mastery. Anything else that you sense is called for, allow, invite, anchor, claim all that you are, all that we are. And let's say yes to the magnificence of what we're here for and the magnificence of what is possible. Let's say yes as we have never said yes before. It's time. Parachuko ia manaria ku ite nyamarata akaa ia natara yamo oye kete inata itau kuyina. Okay, one more anchoring, like really coming down right through the pelvis, the legs, the feet, and again go as deep as you like through the earth centers. You can go as far as you like, as deep as you like, deep, and whole and open and here. And breathe. Okay. And I'll just say to everybody to stay here, Like I was saying before, it's like the light is so strong, the frequencies are so strong. Just keep. There's a claiming quality, not from the personal I, but from the sovereign beingness of like, yeah, I'm here for this. I'm here for this. I claim this. I claim all that I am, the vastness of what I am, the power of what I am. And the I is you, is we, it's the same. It's claimed, it's here, it's now. So it is. Thank you for being here for this. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful.
Pleasure.
Quite an interesting experience there.
You want to say any more?
Well, I'm trying to like just okay, so I lost track of what you were saying, but at some point, go well, I know what you were saying. Go deeper in the body, as it moves out your feet, and so on and so on. Anyway, at some point, I was in a cobalt blue cave under the earth, Shasta. It's a cobalt blue cave with like a fissure on the top of it, like a crack that had some white light coming through, really bright white light. There was tall white beings, and didn't really say anything but what I understood was either a message, an activation, personal download, I don't know, of the feminine energy as I could feel it in my body. This is masculine and it's in full form, let's just say, and then the feminine, and I think this is metaphoric, whatever. And I could feel it come in, either come in or turn on or something. I don't know exactly, but what I would get from the message, based on what we just all took part in, is for at least from my own perspective, was that's happened, it's happening, something like that. Like more, a trajectory of more balance, feminine standing up, feminine speaking, feminine part of us all, something like that. But there was another message too of we are here and we are working like really close with you, that type of thing. I don't normally do stuff like this, but maybe with Morgan sometimes, but it's legit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's legit.
Yeah. And I validate everything you're saying about the rebalancing. What my vehicle is for is cosmic divine feminine codes. That's what I'm here to help bring for all of us, and then we bring them through together. And I'm sure many of us have spoken lots of times about not only the rise of the feminine, but this is the rebalancing. This is the time of union.
Yeah, of course.
So wherever we're at on that, wherever we're at, and balancing, as we're reminded, I'm reminded again, balancing is fluid. Balancing is not static. You're like, okay, like feminine coming in, and then what happens with that? There's the integration, and there's the communion, right? You know this, you live in it. Like
I see it. You know what I see it like? I see it like a mountain, like Shasta or Everest or whatever. And I told Franco this the other day when we had a show. Like, I feel like we have gone to the top and we're on the other side. So like when you talk about the fluidity and you can't stand still kind of thing, right? So we had this one methods how to get up the hill.
Yeah.
We get to the top.
Yeah.
You get the blast. It's almost like getting to, like, you're counting down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And now we come out with the new math, like 3, 6, 9, 12, whatever it is. And so we come down and immediately there is a huge dynamic change, which is we're not going up, we're going down. You know what I mean? Like there's more momentum.
Yeah.
So it's almost like that fluidity that you're talking about that we had to adapt to on the way up. It's still there in a much different and bigger way.
And for me, that also correlates with like the how the light's coming in. Like I do remote sessions for people, which I love because we don't have a call and I can just go like completely into the frequency. And in that, it was just all of this piece about these new forms of anchoring, because you don't need to call the light in. The light is just like, full on. So, it's like coming down the mountain, like that trajectory, that momentum is here, right? Our job is to stay in these, keep and be with it.
Don't think you can't bust your butt on the downside like we did on the upside. The problem with the downside is you'll be rolling down the hill.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's good. This is good stuff. And I really appreciate you. I hope to see you. We're having a Soulogy Festival end of May. If you get a chance, we'll be in Sedona, 28, 30, 31. Yeah. There'll be a So, and if not, maybe I get up to Shasta or we run into each other somewhere else in the physical or the non-physical or both.
Yeah. I'm going to be moving around. I'm going to be coming south.
Are you really? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So and I just want to say thanks too to those and those like you, who have normal lives who, you know, I know you have a lot of responsibility and you still do your work, and that's the priority. And I think that's a big part of the walk the talk thing now too, for all of us. A part of that is immersing ourselves in what we know is true. Anything else is a distraction.
Yeah.
And we all came here with many missions, and we had one common mission, and I think we all figured it out by now. And that is, you know, to thine own, stay in your own lane, to thine own self be true, right?
Yeah. And thank you for what you stand for and all that you embody, Todd. It's really powerful.
Well, it is what it is right now. I could be, I could be acting out in an hour or two.
Nicely enough an hour, right? But right. I mean, and that's it. And this is the truth. This is the truth for all of us. It's all of us.
It probably won't happen for us, all of us, but we can't say, "Oh, that'll never happen," or "I'm not that," or, you know, "I'm all this." It's just humility comes through humiliation, and nothing like humiliation. You know, we've all been in that situation where you feel like you're out and you do something embarrassing, or you do something that's really not cool or whatever, and like everybody's watching you. That whole feeling that your body gets. But it's just like the cycle of everything that you're talking about, and the experience you're talking about, from that, you know, from that energetic place where I mean, I don't want to be here. Oh my God, I want to die. It always comes the gold.
Yeah, it's the breaking of the arrogance. Yeah, into the gold that was there all along. The innocence that's there all along, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and
Believe
the beauty.
me, man, I'm telling you, our programming is run deep, and we are honored and revered and loved and respected, and we got a lot of help, both here, both physical and non-physical. So, but you take care. All blessings to you and yours, and all your endeavors. And I love you.
Yeah, I love you too, brother. Thank you.
See you later.